Welcome to the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. I am Caleb Jones, freedom-focused lifestyle design for men, dating multiple attractive women all at the same time without any lying or cheating or drama, location-independent income, the freest lifestyle the modern man can live. Alpha Male 2.0. I'm going to go right into the topic here. This is a topic that I get a lot of questions about, and I'm frankly confused as to why I get so many questions about this. A lot of times I get a lot of questions on certain topics, and it makes sense as to why I get those questions. This one is one of those things where for some reason my brain works in a certain way where to me it's obvious, but to a lot of people in my audience it isn't, or it's confusing. So I'm going to do my best to help you out in this podcast. And that is the concept of boyfriend behaviors. What the fuck is that? Now, if you are familiar with my content, you have an idea of what this means. If you are unfamiliar, I will explain right now. Just to give you context. We have FBs, MLTRs, and OLTR. FBs are friend with benefits. MLTRs are women you're dating, but they're not your girlfriend. You can date multiple of them because it's non-monogamous. OLTR is your girlfriend, or if you live with her, your wife. Okay? That's the breakdown. In an MLTR, what are the differentiating factors between an MLTR and an OLTR? Is that with an MLTR, you can date her and do the things a man would do who is dating a woman. But you are not allowed to engage in what I call boyfriend behaviors. These are behaviors that only a boyfriend would do, okay? If you engage in boyfriend behaviors with an MLTR, you will create drama and it'll be 100% your fault. The reason for that is you're being incongruent. You're saying, either verbalizing or through your actions, this is not a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. We're just dating and I like you, that's it. But then you're acting like a boyfriend. So you're sending conflicting signals. She will immediately start assuming that, oh, he's my boyfriend now. Okay, now that he's my boyfriend, I'm gonna expect him to not fuck other women and text me every day and call me every day like a beta male boyfriend. And when you don't do that, saying, no, this is an MLTR or whatever you say, she's gonna be like, what the fuck? She'll be all confused and angry. Drama, problems, 100% your fault. It also leads to demanding behaviors. The sooner you act like a boyfriend in a relationship, the more demands she will give you to act like a boyfriend, which makes perfect sense if you think about this. If you are a little more standoffish, she is less likely to demand these things, or if she does, she will demand them much later in the relationship, which is good because at that point you can have the talk if that's required. So this all ties together in a nice, neat system. That's why my dating system is, in my opinion, and I've looked at a lot on the best dating system I've seen in the whole world. It is. The Alpha 2.0 Black Dragon dating model of FBs, MLTRs, OLTR. This is the best model you can follow in the entire world. I've never seen a superior dating model than this. So anyway, sometimes guys get confused what boyfriend behaviors are. So in my books and my blogs and my videos, I give some basic examples. So what's an example of something only a boyfriend would do, not a guy she's dating would do? So let's take a few examples. You spend the night with her, okay? You spend the night with her. She spends the night at your house. Would only a boyfriend allow a woman to spend the night at her house? Only a boyfriend would do that, yes or no? No. No. You can date a guy and you can spend the night at his house, right? I've done it many times with women I was dating. That's relatively normal. Now, you could say that's on a gray area, pushing the envelope, perhaps, but it's allowed because it's not something only a boyfriend would do, and most modern day Western women understand that. There's a few exceptions that don't. I'll cover that really quick. If a woman is very young or very inexperienced or very Christian, then she might assume, oh, we're in love now. But that's pretty fucking rare these days in the collapsing Western world, where you have, teenagers on TikTok and on OnlyFans, and women know what's up, okay? So don't worry about the oddball exception to the rule. 99+% or whatever percentage it is of women will understand this is not a boyfriend gesture. Now, this certainly is an I like you gesture, sure, but that's allowed in an MLTR. You're allowed to really like MLTRs. You can even be in love with an MLTR. She's still not your girlfriend. So let's use another example. What about renting a limousine, buying her flowers, and taking her out to a fancy dinner on Valentine's Day? Okay? Is that something only a boyfriend would do? Or is that something a guy she's dating would do? So is it only something a boyfriend would do? Yeah. Or at least if the answer is kinda, that's a yes. So that is absolutely a boyfriend behavior. Okay? That's a boyfriend behavior, taking her out to a fancy event on Valentine's Day, that's boyfriendy shit. So if she's an MLTR and you do this with her, she's going to start assuming, oh, this is boyfriend stuff. Okay, we should be boyfriend and girlfriend now. Okay, you see my point? So this works? What's another example? Going out to a nice dinner. Just going out to a steak dinner. That's it. Okay, going out to a steak dinner, nice restaurant, going back home, having sex. Is that something only a boyfriend would do? No. So that's allowed. Now, I wouldn't do that with an MLTR you don't like very much, you barely like. That is not allowed with an FB, but we're not talking about FBs in this podcast. This is MLTRs and OLTRs. So that would be allowed. Technically, that is allowed. You gotta be careful, okay? Be careful, but that is allowed. What's another behavior? Going out to dinner, meeting her parents. Okay, so you're gonna go out to dinner and meet both her mom and her dad at this dinner. Is that something only a boyfriend would do or a guy she's dating? That's a fucking boyfriend behavior. Nothing screams boyfriend like meet my parents. Okay, I still remember when I introduced Pink Firefly to my parents after I had been seeing her having sex with her for years and hiding, no one knew about her. And when she introduced me to her parents, these were big fucking events. And if you've been through that yourself, you know that's a big step in a relationship. Meeting the parents, that means that's boyfriend shit. You know that's boyfriend shit, okay? So if an MLTR says, meet my parents, what is your answer? No. I said, say whatever you want. It's too soon for that. I don't feel comfortable with that. I think we're rushing. Whatever you want to say, but you don't do it because that's a fucking boyfriend behavior. Make sense? So that really is the delineating line of what a boyfriend behavior is. Is it something only a boyfriend would do? If it is, or if the answer is kinda, I'll cover that in a second, but if it is, it's a boyfriend behavior. If it isn't, even if it feels like it's serious-ish, like, well, if she spends the night with me, that means serious. Maybe it means that, but she knows in the modern era, women who date dudes, and sometimes women spend the night at the dude's house, and women know that's not a boyfriend thing. They know that, right? That happens all the time. So even if though you think it's serious-ish, it's not a boyfriend behavior. So that's the first distinction. It's not whether or not this is a serious gesture. I mean, to me, taking you out to a nice dinner, that's a serious gesture. I think that's a serious gesture, especially for a guy like me who hates spending money. Yeah, it is. But is it a boyfriend behavior? No, it's not. You can date a woman and take her out to a nice dinner. I mean, shit, I live in Dubai. That happens all the fucking time here. Guys take women out to fancy dinners and they're not boyfriends. They just want to bang the chick, okay? So no. So that's the first distinction. It's not anything serious or serious-ish. It's something only a boyfriend would do. Second distinction. If the answer is, well, kind of a boyfriend, well, kind of. So here's a kind of scenario. What's a kind of boyfriend behavior? What I'm getting to here is kind of means yes. Kind of boyfriend means it's a boyfriend behavior. If you're not sure, it's probably a boyfriend behavior, obviously. And well, I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. Let me go back. This is what I have an outline. Let's use an example of a kind of boyfriend thing where kind of only boyfriend do that. You go on a trip, like a 2-3 hour plane ride or 2 or 3 hour train ride for a weekend trip, a weekend away. 2 nights away, you and her on this trip. And it's not necessarily a romantic trip, you're going on a trip together, okay? Not you're going to a week in the Bahamas. I'm not talking about that. A quick weekend trip, okay? Is that a boyfriend behavior? Is that something only a boyfriend would do and not a guy she's dating? Well, kinda, but no, it's kind of a gray area, kinda. That means yes. That means you avoid that. So here's the rule about this, and I've mentioned this, and this is where things, I admit, do get a little confusing. You have MLTRs and you have a high-end MLTR. You can only have one. That's the MLTR when you're seeing multiple MLTRs that you like the best. You really like her the best. She's not your girlfriend. She's not an MLTR, but you do like her more than the others. And the high-end MLTR has been dating you for well more than 6 months. And you've had the talk and she has survived the talk and agrees to it. She doesn't have to like it. She has to agree, yes, you're going to date other women. Not just fuck other women, you're going to date other women. Because MLTR means you're not just having sex with other women, you're dating other women. In an OLTR, you're allowed to have sex with other women, but you can't date other women. I have an OLTR marriage. I can have sex with other women, I do every week, but I don't date any women. I only date my wife, okay? But an MLTR, you don't have that restriction. So she's gone through that talk, okay? And she has survived it, she's still with you, she's cool with it. She doesn't like it, but she accepts it, okay? That's a high-end MLTR. With a high-end MLTR, you're allowed to do things like go on little trips. That's okay. Would you go on a little trip with a normal MLTR? Someone you've been dating for 2 months, you haven't had the talk yet, okay? And you're gonna go on a trip, you're gonna go to whatever, 2 hours away for 2 days, 3 days, 2 nights, whatever. No, you would not do that. That's incongruent boyfriend behaviors. Can't do that, okay? Well, Caleb, what about meeting her friends? So again, it depends on the context. So let's ask ourselves the boyfriend behavior question. She's got 2 or 3 casual friends. They're all going to go out and she's inviting you. Do you go? Well, let's ask the question. Going out, to a club or bar or whatever for a few hours with her and some of her casual friends. Is that something only a boyfriend would do? Probably not. You could envision scenarios where a guy she's just dating does that, right? I've been in social scenarios where a woman brings a guy who's definitely not her boyfriend, a guy she just started dating a few weeks ago, and they're at a social thing with casual friends. Cool, that's fine. So you might be able to pull that off. If you're ever nervous about this stuff, if you're like, no, I don't know, then don't do it. You can always say no to that, okay? I would say no to it, but it's technically allowed, okay? As long as you keep your frame, your EFA, all the techniques I talk about in my books. The primary book about this, by the way, is the Ultimate Open Relationships Manual at haveopenrelationships.com. There's an audiobook and a book. I think there's an audiobook, right? Yeah, there is. So either one, okay, go for that. I'll go through all the details on exactly how to do this. Now let's change the context a little bit. So meet her friends. You're going to go out with her best friend. Okay, you and her best friend Susie, that she's known since school, right? Her best friend, her confidant. You're all going to go out and spend the evening together. Is that a boyfriend behavior? Kind of, yeah. Now, why is that? Because this is her best friend. This is on par with meeting her parents. And if you're going to go out for a few hours, which is you and her best friend, what's the point of that? What is the point of that meeting? It's for her best friend to vet you and tell her that you're okay. That's exactly what that's for. So if you do this, her best friend is going to sit there with her arms folded and watch you all night and ask questions and observe your behavior. And then when the evening's over, she's going to get on the phone with your chick, and they're going to have this 2-hour-long conversation about all your negatives. Maybe some of your positives, but all your negatives. I don't know about him. Well, he should have done that. She should have done this. And does any of that indicate boyfriendish behavior? Yes, it does. That's boyfriendy zone. So I would not do that. That is more boyfriend behavior. So it's not just, what if I meet her friends? Depends what the context is. So in one scenario, it's acceptable. Another scenario, it's probably not acceptable, right? The same thing goes for things like meeting her coworkers at work, meeting her family members. So, hey, my family is having a potluck this weekend. You should come with me. Is that a boyfriend behavior? You're going to meet her mom, her dad, her brother, her sister, her cousin. Yes, you would not do that. You wouldn't even do that with a high-end MLTR. That's very boyfriendy. No. Now, there's another scenario. Hey, let's say she works at a restaurant, and you're going to go to the restaurant, hang out with her at the restaurant a little bit while she works. You'll meet her coworkers. Is that a boyfriend behavior? No, that's perfectly fine. You see the difference? And I realize that, I guess I don't realize. To me, all this is very obvious. So that's why I'm trying to give you as many scenarios and possible scenarios I can think of to come up with and give you examples of these things. But that's the question you ask. You always default back to that question. Is this something only a boyfriend? Okay, I'm going to modify the question a little. I just had an idea. Only a boyfriend or potential boyfriend would do, right? So maybe if you meet her parents for dinner, that's definitely a boyfriend behavior. If you go to a family potluck and her parents are going to be there, brothers and sisters and cousins, and her parents are going to meet you, but that's not the point of the thing, that is something a potential boyfriend would do, right? Right. So that counts as a boyfriend behavior. Make sense? So if it's only something a boyfriend would do or potential boyfriend, same thing with hanging out with her best friend for 3 hours, just her, you, and her best friend, not a good idea, okay? Not a good idea unless you're well into high-end MLTR and she's OLTR candidate. So let me switch gears to talk about that because that relates directly to this topic. OLTR candidate. That means, and I know this well because I had a few women go through this process many years ago, pre-Pink Firefly. OLTR candidate means you're dating an MLTR, probably a high-end MLTR, which doesn't have to be, okay? You can have multiple women in this category at the same time. Minimum 6 months as an MLTR with very few problems, if any. They've gone through the talk. You've given the talk about how you're not going to be monogamous, And she's accepted it. You verbalized all this, she's accepted it, okay? And now you're thinking, wow, I really like her. I think I like her enough for her to be an OLTR. I think she'll work. She is now a candidate for OLTR, okay? So you're still dating her as an MLTR, but you're watching her very carefully. I did this with Big Firefly, did this with one or two other women. You're watching her very carefully to see how she reacts to certain things, okay? Is she a low drama person? Is she a low jealousy person? How does she handle conflict in her life? Does she have a super fucked up family life? These are all questions you're asking because you're qualifying her for OLTR. I've said many times, unlike MLTR or OLTR, OLTR is a position that must be qualified for. She has to qualify for that position. You can make a woman an MLTR on the second date, third date. You can do it. I've done it. It's fine. FB or MLTR, it's fine. You can do that. Or the second time you have sex, that's fine. You don't do that with an OLTR. This is what guys do all the time. They have sex with her twice, they immediately fall in love, and they make her her girlfriend or her de facto girlfriend. Okay, terrible. No, stupid, beta, needy, no. So in that scenario, during OLTR candidacy, you can lean more into some of those potential boyfriendy things as a way to gauge things. Make sense? So you wouldn't meet her parents, but maybe you would meet her best friend. And if her best friend's a total cunt, or, you meet her best friend and her best friend just gives her a bunch of shit about this, and the woman you're dating listens to her best friend like she's God, well, then that's a strike against her in terms of OLTR candidacy, right? I promise you, and I should do a whole podcast on this. I could, if you want. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a podcast on this. I was paying very close attention to Pink Firefly for a long time. When she was in the OLTR candidate aspect, when she was an MLTR, other women before her too, who failed. They were an OLTR candidate for a while and they failed because they didn't make it, didn't make the cut. So in those scenarios, you can use boyfriend behaviors strategically or potential boyfriend behaviors as a qualifying factor, okay? You don't go too far. That doesn't mean you go on a trip with her for a week and see how she does. No, don't do that, okay? Or meet her parents. No, that's stuff you do once you've made the decision. She's an OLTR, by the way. That means you have the OLTR talk, which is very different than the talk, and she survives that talk, and she's qualified for that talk. Then you are now, when you actually make the decision she's an OLTR, you are now my OLTR. Now you can do all the boyfriend stuff. Now it's okay. Now you can meet her parents. Now you can meet her friends. Now you can go on trips. By the way, you can start seeing her more than once a week, which is a hard and fast MLTR, FB rule. So all the new rules switch over into OLTR, and now boyfriend behaviors are allowed. I mean, Pink Firefly's been my wife for 6-7 years now. Obviously, I'm allowed to do boyfriend behaviors with her. She's my wife, right? And so that was the line that we crossed when we had that talk. Now, in my case, and me and Pink Firefly's case, or I should use correct grammar. In Pink Firefly's and my case, the OLTR status was conditional. We had the OLTR talk. She passed with flying colors. She did great. Better than I thought she would do. She did fantastic. But there are one or two things I needed her to clean up in her life before we could really progress officially. And she had to clean this up. And it took her a few months, and she did. And finally, when she did, I said, okay, now we're official. Hardcore, 100% OLTR. And then we started doing all the boyfriend behaviors. Then she met my parents. I met her parents. We traveled for the first time, and I watched to see how she did, and we did all that stuff. Make sense? So that's the last thing I'll leave you with, is that if you're craving boyfriend behaviors, a lot of you aren't, but some of you are. Just remember, you can do them when you get to OLTR, when she qualifies for it. OLTR means she's an MLTR for at least 6 months. A year is better. More than a year is better. Pink Firefly was several years before I upgraded her to OLTR. She survived the talk, and she survived the OLTR talk. That's a lot of work for a woman. By the way, I've said this many times, the vast majority of women you date will not qualify for OLTR. Period, end of story. The biggest challenge I have with most red pill dating advice is that assumes that every woman you put your dick inside of must be OLTR quality, or else you shouldn't go there. That's insanity. That's the opposite of reality. The vast majority of women you have sex with over the course of your alpha male existence will not qualify for OLTR. Most of them won't even be close to OLTR, okay? Only a handful will be even close. And a few will qualify, if any, okay? So just be aware of this. But my point is, the boyfriend behaviors are coming. When you get to that point, when she qualifies and goes through those hoops, and then you're official, and then you're there, the handcuffs are off. You can do whatever you want. See her. You can see her every day if you want. You can move in with her, have children with her. Of course you're going to meet her parents. That's fine. So for those of you who are like, I really want boyfriend behaviors, they're coming. They're not coming today. They're not coming tomorrow, but they're coming. Once you get there, you have to be patient. The alpha male 2.0 is patient, is non-needy, outcome independent. Not like, oh my God, I love her so much, I want to be my girlfriend right now. No, that's beta male shit. Okay? Cool. If you want more information on this or topics I touched on you want me to cover in future podcasts, by all means, let me know. I will see you in the next podcast or video. Have fun. Bye.